Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today we're doing a Blackwing deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is my favorite deck of all time. And I'm really excited to do an update of this one because I've been doing a lot of playtesting and changing up this build, and it is a really awesome build. I'm really excited to show you guys, and if you guys haven't checked out my top 10 favorite decks of all time, you definitely should check out that video. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome awards like getting your name scripted in every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Simoon the Poison Wind. So this card is a great card, and you always want to see this card in your opening hand because this card is a Whirlwind Searcher. It has the ability, if you control no monsters and this card is in your hand, you can banish one other Blackwing monster in your hand to place a Black Whirlwind from your deck face up on your spell or trap card zone. Then either send this card to the graveyard or immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon this card without tributing. And you cannot special summon monsters from the X deck for the rest of the turn except dark monsters, which is not that big of a deal because usually we're just going to be summoning dark monsters anyways, but it also has the ability that during the end phase you send the Black Whirlwind you placed on the field to the graveyard by this effect, and then you take 1,000 points of damage. But there are cards like Zaphros the Elite that can banish the Black Whirlwind back to your hand. So this card is a fantastic 3 of the deck because it gets us to our copy of Black Whirlwind and then gives us a search too. We then play 3 copies of Chris the Crack of Dawn. This card is really good because if you control a Blackwing monster other than another copy of Chris, you can special summon this card from your hand. And you can only special summon this card once per turn this way, and then it also has the ability that once per turn this card cannot be destroyed by spell or traps. This card is a great 3 of in this deck because you can just basically normal summon this card out to your side of the field while you have a copy of Black Whirlwind on your field to be able to give you a search because it's the highest attack Blackwing monster in the entire deck. We then play 3 copies of Bora the Spear, which is arguably the best Blackwing in the entire deck. It can special summon itself out to your side of the field if you control another Blackwing monster, and adds the ability that does piercing damage if it attacks, which is a really good effect for this deck. We then play a single copy of Zaphros the Elite. Zaphros the Elite can bounce a card from your side of the field back to the hand. You take 400 points of damage and then special summon this card back from the graveyard. Now you can only use that effect once per duel, but playing this card as a 1 of in the deck is a must. I love this card as a 1 of, but you really don't need more than 1 because it's a once per duel effect. We then play 2 copies of Oster the South Wind. This card is a great card as a 2 of in this deck. I really love this card because it combos very well with your copy of Simoon, because this card, when it's normal summoned, can grab back one of your banished level 4 lower Blackwing monsters and special summon it to your side of the field. So the combo kind of goes, you use this card, your Simoon, to be able to banish any of these 7 Blackwing monsters that you have that are level 4s to be able to summon this card to your side of the field and activate Black Whirlwind. Then you'll get a search of a copy of Simoon, and since this card normal summoned itself with its own effect, you can then normal summon the copy of Simoon, get an additional search, and bring back one of the level 4 monsters that you banished off the copy of Simoon, which is a really great effect because you're getting 3 monsters and 2 searches, which is a great basically plus for us. We then play 3 copies of Gale the Whirlwind. Gale the Whirlwind is really good because it can special summon itself to your side of the field if you control another Blackwing monster, and then it also can target a monster your opponent controls and half its attack, which is really great to be able to half the attack of a monster that our opponent controls. I love this card in this deck. It's a great extender and it's a level 3 tuner. We then play a single copy of Gallus the Midnight Sun. Gallus the Midnight Sun is really good because if you control only 1 Blackwing monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and it's just a really good card overall in this deck to search. If you normal summon out a Blackwing monster with a copy of, say, Whirlwind on the field, you can search this card and then special summon it to your side of the field, giving you another monster on the field. We then play 2 copies of Hamaten the Dust. Hamaten the Dust is really good because this card can special summon itself from your hand if you control another Blackwing monster. Then it can target a Blackwing monster and increase its level by the targeted monster's level. So for example, if we have Oster on our side of the field, you can target, or you can use Hamaten to target your copy of Oster and increase it to 6, making it so 4 plus 6 equals 10, so you can go into full Armor Master, which is really good. We then play 2 copies of Orsha the Squall. Orsha the Squall is a really good card in this deck because this card helps out a lot because it can special summon itself to your side of the field once per turn, and it's a level 1 tuner monster, which helps out the deck a lot also, and it's the lowest attack point Blackwing in the entire deck, being 400, which is why I play it as a 2 of in here, because it's easily searchable in this deck and helps us climb into some really powerful monsters. So that's it for the Blackwing monsters. Let's let's get into the other cards that we're playing in the deck for the monster cards. So for the other cards, we're playing a small Raid Raptor package in the deck. We're playing a single copy of StaringAtGames. StaringAtGames is really good in this deck because if you control a dark monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and also you can't special summon for the rest of the turn except dark monsters, which is not that big of a deal again because we're just summoning dark anyways. And if you control an XZ monster with a dark XZ monster as a material, you can target a level 4 or lower Raid Raptor monster in the graveyard and special summon it, but its effects are negated, which is a really good effect, but basically it's just here as an additional special summon and being able to be searched with your copy of 4 Strix or Wise Strix. We then play a single copy of Singing Lanius. Singing Lanius has the ability to control an XZ monster. You can special summon it from your hand. This card is usually the card we're searching from the deck off of our copy of our 4 Strix, and it's just a really good card overall. We then play a single copy of Raider's Wing. Raider's Wing helps out the deck a lot too, because it's always treated as a Phantom Knight or Raid Raptor monster. And if this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can detach a material from a Dark XZ monster, special on this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. And also if it's a material on a Dark XZ monster, it gains the ability that your opponent cannot target that monster with card effects, which helps out a lot of our XZ monsters. We then play a single copy of Silent Boots, which can banish itself from the graveyard to search a Phantom Knight spell or trap, and a single copy of Ancient Cloak, which can banish itself from the graveyard to search any The Phantom Knight card from our deck to our hand, which we play a couple of different cards that are the Phantom Knight, but they have to be specifically the Phantom Knight. It can't just be Phantom Knight, it has to be the Phantom Knight. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is really good in the deck because it basically just stops our opponent from touching the deck. So I play this card as a 3 of in here. I really like this card as a 3 of in the deck because it stops so many different plays our opponent's going to try and do against us. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Called by the Grave just to stop our opponent's hand traps. I really like this card in this deck, and it helps out a lot with our plays. We're going to be playing 2 copies of the Phantom Knight's Rank Up Magic Force. You're using this card to make a lot of different XZs that you're going to be ranking up into. You basically, during the main phase, banish 1 or more dark monsters from the graveyard, and for every dark monster you banish, you can go 1 rank higher, and then summon a monster from the extra deck using a dark XZ monster that you control on your side of the field. So for example, if we have 4 Strix on our side of the field, that is a dark rank 4, we can banish 3 to go into our copy of Arsenal Falcon, which is usually the one that we're going to go into. We then play 3 copies of Black Whirlwind. Black Whirlwind is the best card in the entire deck. This card is absolutely crazy because anytime you normal summon a Blackwing monster to your side of the field, you can add another Blackwing from your hand, from your deck to your hand, that has a lower attack points than the current one that you just normal summon. So for example, if I normal summon out a copy of my Chris to my side of the field, then I can search a copy of Bora because Chris has 1900 and Bora has 1700 to give me another search, and they stack. So for example, if I have 3 of these on the field, I can normal summon Chris and then search 3 Boras from the deck, which is really good for this particular build. We then play 3 copies of Triple Tactical Talents. I love Triple Tactical Talents in this deck. It's a really good card because what this card does is if your opponent does hand trap you, you get more chances to draw into your copies of your Black Whirlwinds. And you do get hand trapped in this deck, but you can kind of just walk through them with this particular deck. I really love the way that Triple Tactical Talents has the ability that gives you 1 of 3 effects if your opponent activates a monster effect during your main phase. You get to draw 2, take a card, take a monster they control until the end of the till the end phase, or look at your opponent's hand, choose a card in it, and shuffle it back into the deck. So it's always going to get you at least a 1-for-1. Sometimes it turns into a +1 and makes up for the hand trap that they hit you with, which is just a really good effect to be able to just use this card to be able to get you additional draws, to take monsters away, or get rid of really good cards that your opponent might need for the next turn. And it gives you knowledge if you look at your opponent's hand to be able to like stop certain effects. So that's it for the spells. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of the Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine. This card is basically a monster that you can flip it face up if you don't have a trap in the graveyard to be able to summon it as a level 4 monster to your side of the field, which is really helpful to use it for XZ's plays or Link plays. We then play 2 copies of Fogblade as well. Fogblade helps out the deck a lot because Fogblade just negates monster effects and it makes it so a monster can't attack or be attacked, and it's easily searchable off our copy of the Phantom Knight Link monster. So that's it for the traps, guys, let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of Full Armor Master. You really just need 1 to 2 of this. I've been playing 1 in my build, and I haven't missed the second copy of it because it's a really fantastic card, but usually when I summon 1 of it, I usually just win because it's unaffected by everything. It has actually 4 effects, and all 4 of them are crazy busted effects. It's unaffected by every other card on the field. Each time a monster that your opponent controls activates its effect, you put a wedge counter in that monster, and then you get to place a wedge counter in that card, and then once per turn you can target a monster your opponent controls with a wedge counter in it, take control of it, and then once per turn during your end phase you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls that have wedge counters in them. This card's a board wipe, it's a mind control, it's a change of heart, and it puts wedge counters and stuff, and it's a towers. This card does it all, and I love this card, and you're always going to summon this card turn 1. We then play a single copy of the regular Armor Master. This card can't be destroyed by battle, and anytime it battles it puts a wedge counter in the monster that it battled. You can pull the wedge counter out to make the monster's attack become 0, which is really good for other monsters that you might need to be able to attack into. If your opponent has a really big monster as well and attacks in this card, you take 0 battle damage, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Chidori, the Rain Sprinkling. This card can get really, really big, because if this card is synchro summoned using a Blackwing monster as a material, it's treated as a tuner monster while face up on the field. And this card gains 300 attack for each Blackwing monster in your graveyard, and when this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can target one Wing Beast type synchro monster, not a Blackwing, in your graveyard, except another copy of itself, and special summon it, which is really good just to give you an additional monster reborn and basically give you an additional play. We then play a single copy of Raikiri, the Rain Shower. This card can pop cards on the field up to the number of Blackwing monsters that you control other than itself, which is really good just to give you board wipes. You play a single copy of Obsidian Hawk Joe. I love this card in this deck. It's a revival card that lets you target 1 level 5 or higher Blackwing monster in the graveyard or a Wing Beast monster in your graveyard and special summon it back to your side of the field, which helps out a lot. There's some really easy combos to go into this card, and I love it as a 1 of in here. I wouldn't play it any more than 1, and I love this card as well because basically it's just such a good monster reborn in this deck. We then play a single copy of the Nuthung, the Starlight. This card is really good in the deck too, because this card gives you an additional normal summon of a Blackwing monster, and when it's summoned to your side of the field, it can reduce the attack of a monster your opponent controls by 800 and inflict 800 points of damage to your opponent, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Force Tricks, which searches our level 4 Blackwing monsters from the deck, or a copy of our Raid Raptor monsters, or any level 4 Wing Beast monster, which is really good. 1 copy of Arsenal Falcon, because you're using the Phantom Knight rank up magic to be able to climb from a copy of Force Tricks or into this card, which is really good. And if this card leaves the field, then it also lets you special summon out a copy of Ultimate Falcon, which is really good. So basically you can climb from here into this, and then this card can let you special summon out your copy of Ultimate Falcon later on in the game, which is one of the most powerful Wing Beast monsters ever created in Yu-Gi-Oh! Along with Full Armor Master. And getting to play both of them in the same deck is just absolutely crazy. We then play a single copy of Dark Rebellion. The reason we play Dark Rebellion is because you can actually make this card with any 2 level 4 monsters and then use the Phantom Knight rank up magic to be able to go into Dark Requiem, which is really good, giving us a negate, which is just a fantastic effect to be able to use. 1 copy of Raiders Knight, because we're using the Raiders Knight to summon out our copy of Arc Rebellion, and Arc Rebellion gets us all the OTKs we need because it's going to be able to gain the attack of every single monster on the field, which is really good, and I love this card in this deck. We play a single copy of the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardige, because it's going to get us our copies of our Phantom Knight cards from our deck to our side of the field and be able to Foolish Barrel a copy of one of our Phantom Knight monsters. So this card's a really good card in the deck to play as a 1-of. And then we play a single copy of Wise Strix as well. Wise Strix is one of the key combo pieces, because if this card is Link Summon, you can special summon a level 4 Dark Wing Beast monster from your deck in defense position, but you can negate its effects. And if this card, if your Raid Raptor XZ monster activates its effect, you can just set a rank up magic spell directly from the deck, which we play 2 rank up magic spells, which later on lets us climb into a copy of Arsenal Falcon and then ultimately into Ultimate Falcon, which is absolutely crazy. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really awesome deck to be able to play around with. I love this deck. This deck is hands down my favorite deck of all time. I've been playing this deck since probably release of Blackwings, and it's just a crazy fun deck to play around with. I love this deck and love playing in live duels. I carry it with me every time I go to locals or anywhere that I go that I'm going to be playing cards. I usually carry carry this deck with me because it's just a fun deck to pull out, and it really surprises people when you pull out Blackwings and then just give them an OTK. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.